Here to talk a little bit about the winners of the Celebrate Business and Economic Impact Awards. And let me ask first, what is it about these winning companies that would be instructive to other companies in the area?
Well, I'll take that first, Perry. I'll take it from the approach of talent development. So when we look at the Celebrate Business Awards as an example, what these companies are doing in community investment and engagement and lifelong learning, all of those things that are important to particularly the millennial workforce, where they're really showing that they care and engage in the community, that they invest in the continual growth and development of their employees. Those are really important as we attract more young professionals and millennials, but that's also what's making these companies successful, is that they're looking at those type of strategies that are really important to that future workforce, which is going to be more than 50% of us here very, very soon. And then the Economic Impact Awards, those that are also investing in their talent and the practices that they do internally, but they're investing in facility and infrastructure. And so in many cases, we're seeing companies that it is about job growth, but it's also about creating those environments that are very, very important to attracting and retaining the type of talent that they want here in Central Iowa.
And on the workforce attraction, do you know of some of these companies or some things these companies have done that maybe are little examples of things that they're either doing more so than in the past, or maybe they've added a few new benefits? I mean, what are you seeing out there?
I think in general, and certainly many of these companies reflect it when they do look at benefits, they're looking at things like many for years have done tuition reimbursement, but many more are coming on board with, again, that lifelong learning. Some companies are in addition to tuition reimbursement, they are looking at loan repayment and helping with student loan debt, which is a big issue. And again, that community engagement piece is so important. So companies are looking at the paid time off, the volunteer time off that's paid or encouraged by the organizations. And then just the type of benefits or amenities that they bring into the workplace, bringing more professional development opportunities into the workplace, and things in the culture of the workplace, whether that's the dress down days or the professional development, bringing those individuals in that can help their talent pool with personal finances, health and well-being, and many more. And I know Meg can talk on a lot of those types of things that they're doing on a broader scale around wellness and
Right, and Mary's touched on many of those topics, and so many of them are exactly what we're highlighting in this year's awards. One of our Lifelong Learning Award winners has an online learning opportunity that has 300 different modules on a variety of topics that their teammates can digest at any time that they want. And they're encouraged to come up with additional ideas for execution as far as lifelong learning internally. So that's a really great example. As far as innovation, giving a nod to those companies that are coming up with really impressive products and that are rooted right here in Central Iowa, and making sure we elevate them and tell that story, that all those great things do happen here. Millennials in particular want to be part of something that's bigger than themselves. So when we look at our community champions, it's great to be able to hold up both a large and a small business like this year. It's probably not a surprise that a company of 500 can give back and have those mentorship opportunities and even match employees or team members with interests in where they want to serve on boards. But our small business winner is a mere 3 people, and they are still very active in their community and making a really big difference. And that concept of paying your civic rent is such a thing in Central Iowa, and those are 2 really great examples of doing that.
Talk to me a little bit more about the talent development. It's something that maybe gets tougher in bad economic times to spend money on some of the talent development and instruction things that people would want to do. Do you think we're in a period now where that's actually expanding? And do you see examples that maybe are taking that beyond what we've seen before?
I'll let you chime in, but the talent war isn't just unique to Central Iowa, it's a national thing, perhaps even global. So we've got to get creative and really address areas of interest to those that we're trying to seek out.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting. So during the time of the recession, we did see a little downturn in maybe some training dollars that companies were spending. We didn't necessarily see, for those that were doing things like investing in lifelong learning, we didn't really see a big downturn in those types of things. But I think what's also interesting is at the same time, this community, even through the recession, continued to invest in the community as a whole and the types of things that are really important to attracting talent. So we didn't pull away from investments in quality of life and investments in downtown housing and those kinds of things. So it's about the workplace, but it's about the people that are leading these companies that are seeing it beyond the walls of their business, and they're seeing the investments that a community really needs to make, and they're stepping up to the plate and have continued to do so. So what I would say is, I think as a community, as a region, even through some challenging times, and again, we were much better off than many other places across the country, but we didn't stop investing in what was going to be and is continuing to be very important from that talent side.
And then another question, when you look a little bit more broadly at these companies and the winners of these contests, how do these companies successfully address the challenges in the workplace? You've mentioned some of these challenges. There are certainly a broad range of others. Do you see things about them that kind of stand out that others might learn from?
I might just play off of something Meg said, and that's innovation. And I think what's really important with many of these companies is that they are creative and they're becoming innovative in how they address talent challenges. But that innovation is they're letting it be driven from within. So it's not up here sharing ideas of if we tried this. It's coming from within the workplace of that talent pool that they have and making those innovative, creative suggestions and ideas on how the companies can be a workplace of choice.
Is that a cultural shift, do you think, in our workplaces over the decades? To kind of looking more from all over the hierarchy for those types of suggestions?
I think it's a cultural shift, but I think it's also a shift in our demographics too. So when we look at our fastest growing demographics, being the 25 to 34-year-olds, and they're the ones, that's that big millennial pool that's coming into the workplace. And our businesses are paying attention to that voice because that's who we all want. And Meg's absolutely right. We're all in this talent war. And so we have to think about what here in Central Iowa, not just the businesses by themselves, but as a region and as a community, as one, what can we do to be more innovative and creative and much more attractive than the city down the road?
And maybe just to wrap up, I mean, is there anything else in the branding that these companies use, or some other approach that you would like to mention, to just something maybe that stood out when you gave a second thought about that list?
With regards to workforce and talent specifically?
Well, just anything, really. When you look at this list of winners, were there things patterns that you saw about the way they approach, their marketing or their hiring practices or their HR, or anything that you think might be good to share?
What I thought was interesting is, in particular with the Economic Impact Award winners, is that there is broad industry representation, which I think is a really exciting indicator for the success of the Greater Des Moines Metro as far as industry diversification. So there's growth all over, which is really exciting. One of the other awards on the other end of the spectrum here is Best Kept Secret. So I think I really love the opportunity to showcase some of our companies that are perhaps under the radar here. It's very Iowa to not to brag up your work and to be humble about that, but we have some phenomenal companies that are doing work across the nation or globally, and we're recognizing a few of them as well. One of them in particular is the industry leader, and 8 states look to Iowa as far as outsourcing that work. So some pretty great folks to be holding up and showcasing all across the board.